back in. My goodness. A week off in California. We're right back at it at Del Mar. My name's Louie. This is the Horse Racing Happy Hour. This is SoCal Saturday for July 19th of 2025 alongside Josh and John. So much for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to go through the entire card on Saturday there at Del Mar, first Saturday of the 2025 meet there. John from just outside of Carlsbad. How are you, my friend? You doing all right?
Oh, you kidding? We got Del Mar open tomorrow. It's a home game for me, about 11 miles down the coast. We'll just drive down Coast Highway, pull into the track, and look at the beach until the races start.
Oh, I've heard of worse, Josh. How are you? How is Chicago this time of year?
What's funny is, the first time I went to Del Mar last year, it was actually like hotter, like where I was. Like we were having like some like weird heat wave, and it's been so hot this summer. It's ridiculous over here. Finally, it rained like crazy yesterday. It was a cool 70 degrees today. Loving it. Loving Del Mar and having Saratoga back. So this is gonna be it should be fun.
Darn right. In the new Saratoga of Kentucky Ellis Park with their $100,000 maiden special. So there you go. Unbelievable, John. So glad to have you on, man. Of course, you can find Josh on. What's the name of your podcast there, Mr. Cherry Drank?
We are On the Wrong Leads. You can find us at wrong_lead on Twitter and On the Wrong Lead on YouTube.
And John needs no introduction to this crowd, but certainly Thoroughbred, Los Angeles, ThoroughbredLA.com. All the good things happening with you. An hour on Saturdays, 2 on Sundays, John.
Yep, 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific on Saturdays, 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific on Sundays. And obviously, you're not in the area here in California. You can catch us at ThoroughbredLA.com.
That's exactly right. Easy to stream. And frankly, because of the time difference for a guy like Josh or me, on and plenty of time to have brunch or something, frankly.
Yep.
That way, if you are new to the show, if you happen to be catching us for the first time, we walk through the entire card. We do it with our friends at AmWager who are live in California. Get the AmWager Edge right now. Platform for you, built by other horse players. They have a 100% deposit match, up to $150. So if you wanted to get a jump on your betting on Saturday there at Del Mar, go ahead and jump in right now and get that full 100% match at our friends at AmWager and AmWager.com. All right, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Let's get right into it. John, when we talk about playing California, so takeout rates are different place to place. What's the best pick 5 to play on a Southern California card?
Every time it's always the first pick 5, races 1 through 5. They call it the horse players pick 5, 14% takeout, one of the lowest in the country, as opposed to the late pick 5, which is still a good bet, but the takeout's 23.68. So significant value in the first pick 5.
Pick 5 does start here with a state bred maiden special weight. We got 2-year-olds, folks. We got 2-year-old fillies in this one. 5 furlongs on the dirt there at Del Mar. We're running for $100,000. We do have a second timer in this field. We have a fourth timer in this field as well, John. But these are the races that get us going. And frankly, we can always find value during the summer at Del Mar. Where'd you land in race 1?
Well, we have something out here called the Ship and Win program to bring horses out to California. If you haven't started in the state within a year, and you bring a horse that made their last start out of state to California for Del Mar, on dirt races, you get a 50% purse bonus when you race. And with 2-year-olds, you get a maiden dirt bonus of 25%, depending on the barn size. So you're running for a huge bonus. And that fits for number 1 here. What's a good name? Second time starter, now in the Peter Miller barn, had a start over at Churchill Downs, finished up really well down on the fence, got a real good schooling session behind horses, galloped out well. Blinkers on on Saturday. And the key here is the Robesons, the owners, they point to Del Mar every summer. They bring horses up from New Mexico, and this horse was with Steve Asmussen in Kentucky. They come out here for the summertime. They like to get their picture taken. Peter Miller knows what to do. I think at the 5-1 on the program, this is a very live second-time starter. As a first-timer in here, number 9, Mohaven, $200,000 Calbred purchase by Yalpon, who's off to a terrific start in his first crop. 5 wins, 5 first-time starter wins out of his first 15 starters. So they're precocious. This horse is training well. John Sadler points to this meet. Hector Barrios is his main man. They're the 5-2 favorites, and they're very live in here too. For me, I'm going to go too deep in that pick 5, the 1 and the 9.
I went ahead and handicapped this before the lines came out. I landed actually on Mohaven as my top pick here, Josh. Where did you end up?
Yeah, I'm basically the same way as John. I think the kind of the thing that jumps out to me about the one, obviously the ship and win that he had already mentioned, but that's a horse coming out of a key race. You got two horses out of that race that came back to win. I believe one of them won a race at Saratoga recently. So, coming out of the key race, the horse looks like it's been working really well since getting up to California. You see Hernandez get aboard anybody. He's going to have his pick of mounts, especially with some of the other jocks, kind of going around for big, the Monmouth card and, some in Saratoga. So he's got the pick of the litter, and he decided to land here on the one. So I really like the one. That's actually my top pick. I am going to use the 9 as well. Really, the only other horse I kind of gave a look at what was the 10 80s. I thought this might be an interesting horse. Just, got a run out last time. Seemed to just kind of, run in place. Didn't really do much. But second time out, owned, homebred for Redham Racing. I look at that work tab, and that work tab just shows me that this is a horse that's going to try and show a little bit more gate speed, I think, this time out. So I thought the 1080s was a little interesting, a bit of a flyer, but I think the 1 and 9 will probably get you home.
Yeah, never hate a second-time starter. It's always amazing when a horse finishes 20 lengths up the track, but they learned enough to go, okay, all I got to do is just keep going instead of what I did last time. So another first-timer here, John, I wanted to ask you about in Lady K Westfall out of Luis Mendez's barn. He's turned into a heck of a trainer first time out, frankly, and this is one to me that checks a lot of boxes, frankly.
Louie is a sneaky guy. He will pop when you're not expecting them, and sometimes they'll jump forward second time out. This is a filly that's been entered back. She was entered opening day, so she's going to, he's going to show up in this spot. Horse is trained well, and she's a filly that long-legged. She'll probably want to go a little bit further, but she does have some tactical speed. You got Edwin Maldonado, who is that barn's #1 rider. I can't throw her out if you like her. She would probably be the third option for me, but it's a barn. If she doesn't run well this time, keep an eye on her, especially if they throw blinkers on or make a little equipment change in the second start. A lot of times that's okay. We're going now.
Josh mentioned something earlier, John, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. Bill Shoemaker, 1949 to 1954, 6 straight riding titles at Del Mar. Rafa Bejarano, a neighbor of mine now of all things, 5 straight from 2012 to 2016. No one's got 4 other than those 2 guys. Does Juan do it this year?
He's got to be heavily favored to do it. With all the grass racing that's out here during the summertime, a guy like Hector Barrios could get very hot, and he's riding for the right guys, John Sadler, and then I don't know. We've got some new faces this year. You've got Victor Chaminad's out here right now. I don't know if he's going to be here the whole meet or not, but Matt Nakatani's booking his action, and Umberto Rispoli, who writes journalism this weekend in the Haskell, but he'll be here on a regular basis. But day in and day out, Juan Hernandez is going to be the guy to beat.
Antonio Fresu, of course, just won his first riding title at Santa Anita. Obviously, Juan Hernandez will try to flip the script here. We move on to race 2. And John, I also wanted to ask you about these races. I have really enjoyed these claiming level races, and frankly, the 5s and the 8s that happened at Santa Anita, I thought they were great to bet on. They've really filled out these cards, frankly, with 11, 12 kind of horse fields. What's been the reaction locally to these races?
Well, you have to do it. We've got these Northern California horses. You got to give them a place to run. And you're right. There was a scarcity of dirt horses in California, so they are filling out cards. When they first came down, they were extremely formful. The logical horses were winning all the time. For me, as a rolling bet player, there were a lot of times that kind of ruined the rolling bet sequence because here's a 3 to 5 shot that's going to win. What are you going to do? It's gotten a little bit more wide open, and Del Mar is not going to have races restricted just to Northern California horses. They're going to have some races where the Northern California-based horses are preferred, but it's not going to be Northern California only. So that's going to be a little bit tougher for them now. And in general, as long as we have a big field size and there's value, I'm going to play.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And so these races, $10,000 claimer in race 2 here. It is for fillies and mares 3 and up. We're going 5.5 on the dirt. Josh, we'll start with you. I think a chance at some real value in here.
Yeah, a chance at value. And unfortunately, I think I ended up on the chalk in this race. It's the number 1 unwritten code. This just looks like a race that's completely devoid of speed. And you might see some speed maybe out of the 4 Ivory Moon and possibly the 6 Gypsy Lynn. But unwritten code has been shown obviously turf speed and has predominantly been a turf runner. But you go back to that Los Al race in December, was on the lead, set some pretty decent fractions there. So this is definitely a horse that's got dirt speed as well. Sometimes we talk about turf speed and dirt speed are completely different things, but this is a horse that can show some speed on both surfaces there. So I just think with the lack of speed, there's a good chance that the 1 just kind of gets out there and is able to just get loose on the lead and win. Not super creative here in this race, but I'm just going to single. It's going to be my only horse I'm going to use here. I'm going to use that 1 unwritten code.
1 for 16 are Tiago Pereira and trainer Jeff Mullins, their last 16. John, any chance we can beat the 1 here?
Well, I think so. We're going to find out real quick if the rail's any good after these first 2 races, because there are live horses down on the fence. In general, at Del Mar, especially sprinting, being down on the inside on a pace stool is really not where you want to be. And it'll be an outside stalking kind of track. Then all of a sudden, for one weekend, the rail will be golden and they got us all looking bad. But keep an eye on this, because this first 2 races will give you an idea of what that track is going to be like, at least to start the meet. For me, I found some value, I think, in number 3, Twilight Empire. This is an older mare, an 8-year-old filly, got left at the start last time. And you can really throw that race out. It was a very fast race. And the filly that won that Calbred allowance, Bits Tiger Tiger Magic. Bits Tiger Magic is a nice filly. She's going to be all right for trainer Peter Miller. She drops to 10. She wanted this level 2 back. When she broke that time, she had some tactical speed. She's not going to be on the lead, but she's going to be a lot closer than she was last time. And she's at the proper level. And I just think 8-1 is a lot of value there for me. So Twilight Empire for me. Isabel Ludlow comes off of 2 good races back to back, but she also got perfect trips both times. Sat inside. Last time she cut the corner, Los Alamitos opened up and still got nailed. So she's in good form, but she had everything her way the last 2 starts. Can it happen 3 times in a row as a horse owner? I doubt it. There's usually some adversity you have to deal with, but she's obviously a horse that you have to deal with in here. And unwritten code should get loose in here. She's a filly that used to love to win races. She was always kind of a 5-furlong turf sprinter. The 5.5 is not going to hurt her one bit. And this is a no-brainer ride. You just tell Tiago, go fast and win, and you see how far you get. And at the 8th pole, she's 4 lengths clear. You're going to like your chances.
Oh, that's exactly right. We'll move on to race 3. Keep it going. End of the early pick 3. Again, we're presented by Amwager, amwager.com, Amwager online. Go check them out. 100% deposit match right now, up to $150 for new customers live in California there as well. Maiden special again in race 3. But this is for maidens 3 and up. We're on the turf going 5 furlongs here. And John, this is what I think of when I think of turf sprinting at Del Mar. At Santa Anita, I won't lie, I think of down the hill. That's what I always think of because it's unique in its own thing. Man, this 5 furlong thing at Del Mar is very much what I think of when I think of Del Mar turf and sprinting. Frankly, man, this is an interesting field. And I was wondering, where did you land on this one?
Well, the horses that are in good form, horses like number 2, Ericus, and number 10, Burning. Remember, those races they're coming out of were very soft. So I'm looking for somebody I either haven't seen before or just coming out of a different circuit. And there are 2 horses that I like in here. Number 9, Arctic Power, making his U.S. debut. This is for trainer Phil D'Amato, who's really good with these Irish imports. Training well enough. This is another one of those ship and win horses, so you're going for those bonuses. This horse gets a 40% purse bonus if the horse wins on Saturday. Training well enough and has been using the Tapeta track at Santa Anita to train. That's usually what the turf horses do. And again, the long-term record with Phil D'Amato is very good. There's a first-timer in here. I want to see if it gets any action. Number 4, September 64. The gate works in the morning, been good. This horse has speed. I don't think Mike Pipey is known as popping first time out, but he gets his share, and he's not afraid to go to the windows. So kind of watch the tote board on number 4, September 64. If this horse is getting bet, both the ownership and the trainer are not afraid to bet. So we'll watch that. The logical horses, again, like I mentioned, number 2, Ericus, number 10, Burning Rubber. They could win, but if they do, I'm just going to call it a weak race.
I have terrible news for you. I think Mike Pipey's got the best horse in this race, and so I think September 60 horse going to get bet down quite a bit. Josh, where did you land in this one?
Yeah, I my eyes went to the 2 and the 10 first. Obviously, kind of looking at those races. If you're a believer in speed figures, obviously those are the horses to kind of beat. The 2 I like much less because I never like seeing a horse that gets out in the front, gets it kind of easy, and then ends up just packing it in and folding. Even if it is sprinting, and now they're gonna you would think, hey, we're cutting the horse back. Conventional wisdom is, hey, well, that means the horse isn't going to get short at the end. But we all know the shorter the distance, the quicker the horses go early. So this isn't going to be a horse, I think, that's really necessarily going to be on the lead. I thought the 10 was obviously a little bit more interesting here. I think you're getting a better price. I see 8-1 on the morning line here. Get Kyle Frey aboard, who has kind of, I think, had a little bit of a resurgence. I know he was really, really hot in NorCal, came down to Southern California and was kind of hot and cold, but I thought he had a pretty decent Santa Anita meet. And I think this is a horse that fits in here pretty well. The only other horse that I thought might be a little interesting at a humongous price is the 5 Cool Tap Dancer. This is a horse that got onto the turf for the first time last time out. And this horse is just green. I just was inside, outside. I think might have hit the rail on the turn. Was just all over the place and still managed to put up a career best figure in that race. So I do think that there's some talent there. Obviously, he's still going to need to take a step forward. I think on time form probably needs to make up about 10 points. But I think second time on the turf, you're not asking for too much there. And you're getting 30-1. This horse was 73-1 last time out. But 30-1, I'll take a shot with this horse. The horse has been working pretty well. And I like seeing a horse that, you can make an excuse for. And obviously this horse had a horrible trip, looked really green, and, interested to see what this horse can do second time on the turf.
I told you, John, that I had September 64 on top. I had a city and a state that you spend a lot of time in, but not the actual city, Reno, as my second play here. Am I leaning a little too much on Peter and second timers there?
No, this is a 5-year-old against mainly 3-year-olds here. So he has a maturity edge, and he had worked well at times. But he was, for a 5-year-old, he was so green in his debut. He's got speed, but I'm going to, if you bet him, you might want to cover your eyes when he hits that turn. He may just go straight. I'm not sure he's going to make the turn. Obviously, to keep a 5-year-old around this long, though, he has to have shown some ability, or else you would have just cut him loose. So there's that, and Peter Urton's a great horseman. He knows what he's doing. So there's a chance he can improve a ton. And again, it's not a strong race. So again, show me something that I haven't seen before, and that's possible.
We are previewing the full card on Saturday at Del Mar, for Saturday of the season there at Del Mar. He's Josh Rodriguez. In the middle is John Lindo from Thoroughbred LA. My name's Louie Rabeau. Thanks for hanging out with us. Amwager.com. Go check them out, our friends over there. That great platform for you, the horse player. Middle pick 4 here, John. Do you like the addition of the middle pick 4?
Yeah, I do. Especially with an 11 race card, if you get blown out of that early pick 5, there's something else if you're a rolling bet player to try. You don't have to play it, but it's there for if you want. And one thing that Del Mar has that Santa Anita doesn't is that $1 place pick all. That starts in it's the first 10, or it's a maximum of 10 races. So on the weekends where there are 11 races, it'll start in race 2. Otherwise, it's race 1.
Race 4 is another maiden special weight for Calbreds. This is for 2-year-olds again, 5 furlongs on the dirt. In this spot. Is it my turn to go first? Should I go first at some point? Another one of these that I did before we got the numbers, and I am thrilled to find out that the 9 horse on the outside, American Tiger, is 10-1. I'll put that one on top for Tim Yaktine, who I respect a ton with first timers. This just seems to be the kind of Calbred. We see the Smiling Tiger name around with a lot of winners in that maiden winner circle. Interested here because I think Herrera is an interesting choice for rider here. They haven't had a ton of success together, but John, I'm happy to see that 10-1 because I thought in a race where I wasn't real sure about who was going to, either with like a Mystic Moses show up better next time or an Arkadelphia. I knew that horse was going to be short money. I don't know that I was enamored with how that horse ran second time out, especially trying dirt for the first time. So I thought I'd go to the outside there. I feel good about 10-1.
I think you're right. Arkadelphia is going to be bet here. He comes out of a very fast race. The winner of that race, Hero or Zero, is probably going to be favored in the graduation stakes for Thoroughbreds at Del Mar. But I'm with you, Louie. I don't like the way this horse kind of gave it up late and barely held on for the place. It's a horse that can improve. Again, he's eligible for the ship and win money. But I just think he's beatable here. And I like the first timer, number 3, Sammy Davis. This is a horse that he's a half brother to Cali Cat, who runs in the Oceanside on opening day at Del Mar. But he's real stocky and white. He looks like a sprinter, and he's shown good speed in the mornings. This is another one of those John Sadler horses, and Hector Barrios is on this one too. He's shown speed. I think he's going to come out running, and even though he's got a little bit of grass breedings by Sir Prancelot, he's gotten over the dirt just fine. So I'll take him, and I think he's 3-1, or what is he on the morning line there? 7-2. Yeah. And I'll try and a little upset over Arkadelphia there, but American Tiger, I agree, is very live. So interesting race, but I think, again, you're trying to beat the favorite in this race.
No, that's right. I just think, and I think Arkadelphia is going to get enough money that you might get that 7-2 after all. So, Josh, where'd you land in this one?
Yeah, I really like American Tiger. When in these maiden races, I tend to rely a bit on, workout reports and obviously, being a couple days out from the card, we don't have those available yet. So opinions can always change. But, when you start looking, one of the things I start looking at is, all right, how precocious have siblings been for for the progeny of the dam and the sire. And American Tiger's dam, Banner Elk Lady, has thrown 2-year-old winners and 2 starters, and all 3 dirt starters have also been winners. So like seeing that, you don't really see too much win early. On the dam side, the only other horse that kind of has a bit of it is the 1 Benny and the Jet, which is another horse I'm going to use. Clubhouse Ride, 18% dirt sire, and 2 of the 3 siblings have one on the dirt. So just trying to find something. Look at some of these horses, see like what the precocious types are going to be here. The 2 and the 3, I think both make a ton of sense, and they're going to be kind of your short prices. Luis Mendez with 2-year-olds is just so good. It always feels bad when he bumps you out of a pick 5, and you're just like, wow, it's the Luis Mendez 2-year-old I left off. And sometimes he does that at a price too. Obviously here the word's kind of out on this horse. But the effort last time out doesn't look unbeatable, right? I mean, obviously a decent enough figure, but I do think that some of these first-time starters are definitely in here with a shot. So I'll use the 1 and the 9 as my primary plays, and then I'll probably use a little bit of the 3 and probably leave the 2 off my tickets.
The 5th race, of course, will close that early pick 5. The players pick 5 out there in California. Jump in on that one to start your day. 5 furlongs on the turf here in an allowance optional claiming field. 81,000 on the line for 3-year-old fillies. Enough of those running around out there to fill a race. How about that, John? That's good news. We got a field of 9 here. Look, tight squeeze comes in at 5-2, Josh. I'm not at all sure that that's not an unfair number, frankly.
It's funny because I've felt like I've been eating a lot of chalk in the first couple races. I've liked the chalk. I do not like the 2 short prices in this race whatsoever. The 2 tight squeeze can win, obviously, is coming off is 2 for 3, has Hector Barrios aboard, who rides absolutely lights out on the turf out west, and is coming in here obviously in good form, but speed figure wise it doesn't really jump off the page. And I've gotten myself in trouble with these types of horses that like to win but don't look all that much faster. But I'll have a fade on tight squeeze. And then the 6 Transcending, first time in the U.S. for Phil D'Amato. On time form figures, this horse needs to find a heck of a lot to kind of compete with the American horses here. And sometimes I'll forgive 20 points on the time form scale, but we're looking at probably about 30 points we need an improvement here. So I'll go ahead and I'll have a fade on those horses. I think the number 1 Comeback Gal makes a lot of sense here. Obviously won, wire to wire last time out. We're going a little bit shorter, so I see this is a horse that's probably going to get a little bit more of a tracking trip. and sit just behind some of the speed. And the figure last time looks good. The last 2 races has shown significant improvement from race to race. So I think with another step forward, looks to be really good. The 5 Hey Little Lady, hasn't really found, hasn't really been able to win the last couple times out, but broke its maiden turf sprinting. They've kind of, done a couple different things with this horse, gone a little bit longer, tried 6.5. So I like the cut back to a straight sprint here for this horse. And, this is another one that's going to be kind of coming late in this race. And then the 8 Origami with Tiago Pereira aboard, this is another horse that, if you look at speed figures, has just got an eye-popping number on the time form scale. And I'm interested to see, Doug O'Neill's cutting this horse back. Tiago sees fit to stay aboard. I see this is going to be probably a mid-pack type here. And this is another horse that's just been working out really well. So I'm really interested to see how this 8 Origami runs on the cutback. And I'm going to get a decent price, 15-1 on the morning line on that one. So we'll try and fade some of the chalk in this race.
My on-top horse was not mentioned there, John. Proud Starlet is who I have on top for Tim Yaktine here. Who'd you land on?
I'm with Josh. I like Comeback Girl here. Now I know she got a real easy lead on a slow pace, so that is a flag. But when they came to her last time in Santa Anita, she took off. She ran that third quarter in 22 seconds, just over 22, and then she galloped out 4 or 5 in front. There's more speed there than she needed to use last time. She's getting better, and in general, in these 5 furlong turf sprints at Del Mar, if you have speed in the 1 or 2 posts, that's a good thing. You just want to come out of there running, hold your position, save that ground around the turn, and make them come around you to win. And so I think Comeback Girl will lead the gate running, and Armando Ayuso, sneaky good on the grass at Del Mar. And he's a guy you can still get a lot of value on the tote board. So this horse is 8-1. I think she's going to move forward again. I think you do have to be tight squeeze. Now, this is a filly that has a turn of foot. She can sit behind horses. Hector Barros will drop her to the fence, get out, run. She'll be 4th or 5th down on the rail. Turn her for home. He'll find a place to go. And if they come back, she'll finish. So she is definitely the one to beat to me. I just made the race 1 and 2, and I think I've got it covered, 1 in front, 1 from off the pace.
There you go. That's the early pick 5. We'll move on to race 6, another maiden special here. This one is for 2-year-old fillies. We're going 5 furlongs on the dirt, $100,000 on the line here. Not a Calbred. This is more of an open company type of race. And we see plenty of Kentucky breds filling it out for those reasons. John, we'll go to you for first here in race 6.
But when you talk about 2-year-olds at Del Mar, especially maiden specials, not Calbreds, you got to look, well, who's Bob Baffert got? And he's got Cherry Cider in here, who is working fast. But I'll tell you, even though she's worked fast, she hasn't been super impressive. She's been outworked in a couple of these works. Now, she might be working with Secretariat in that barn. You don't know. But, she's working fast. She's going to get over a bit as the favorite. It was just enough to me, well, if she's one of those horses that waits, what's the option here? And I think an interesting horse in here is number 8, Thank You, India. This is a first-time starter for Andy Mathis, who was based in Northern California. They spent $140,000, which is not what you usually see from the Northern California guys. And in the mornings, this filly is very quick. She's got speed, and she'll run hook. She'll face pace pressure. She's drawn outside the Baffert filly here, Cherry Cider. You just send her out of there and see if the other filly cracks. And if she doesn't, she doesn't. But I think she's 5-1 on the program. I think you're going to get all of that, probably more. But I like the outside post with a filly who I know has speed, and you're going to get an overlay on anything not trained by Bob Baffert in this race. So a slight lean to Thank You, India, for me. The other horse that cost a lot of money is number 2, Super Corridor, a $400,000 horse. Again, John Sadler, Hector Barrios. These guys could have a really big first weekend here. And just watching her go, she might want a little bit more distance down the line. I don't know if 5 furlong is going to be her thing, but she can run.
Daughter of gun runner there. They pay a lot of money for those gun runners, Josh. Who'd you land on here?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to try and beat Bob in this spot. I'm going to use the 6 Cherry Cider. Luckily for me, this is not part of either the early or the late pick 5. So the chances of me actually having any type of money on this race is probably pretty slim. But yeah, Cherry Cider looks, Tis the Law has been, off to a pretty decent start as a sire. So I like Cherry Cider. I do like the 2 a little bit, but to John's point, you see Gun Runner and you can't help but think, hey, we probably want to see this one, go in 2 turns at some point. But not to say that you can't win early, but yeah, those are kind of the 2 that stuck out to me. And I'll have a close eye on workout reports when those come out and see what the clockers think on some of these horses.
Pick 6 at Los Al and at Santa Anita's $2, John. What are they doing for pick 6s, which just started, by the way, in race 6 there? What are they doing?
They're holding this. Yeah, they're holding it the same as they did last year. It's a $1 bet. It's the same. It's an 80-20 split. After the takeout, 80% of the money goes to the tickets with 6 and 20% to those with 5. So they kind of front load it to the tickets to get all the wins. And it's a $1 bet, so it makes it a little bit more affordable. I think you'll see less carryovers at Del Mar than you did at Santa Anita because of that. But more people are going to cash.
Yeah, no, that's right. They're doing it like that for a while. I think it's them. It's Keelan that does the $1 pick 6. I'm trying to think who else does the traditional $1.
Churchill had that one for the Derby card, right? And then now they have that Derby CD6 on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's the 20 cents jackpot. It's nice to have that. I like the setup of that. Especially if you feel like you've got a couple spots where you want to take a stand. That $1 option, I think, is so much better. And so glad that we will have it on Saturday. We move on then to race 7. And this is the first stakes of Saturday. And this is the Wicker. And this is a mile on the turf course. And essentially, this is for 3 and up that haven't won a graded stakes this year. And so we're going on that. Some names in here that people almost certainly will know if you follow West Coast racing, especially, but all around. Beyond Brilliance in this field. Bran is in this field, Air Force Red. And on the outside is Endlessly, who ran in last year's Kentucky Derby after winning the Jeff Ruby Stakes in Florence at Turfway Park. John, this is a fun one. I like how this one's set up. It seems to be, these kinds of races where we could pop upsets because these aren't horses that have been winning grade 3s and winning grade 2s and doing that kind of stuff. But frankly, some horses that have won those kinds of races before. Where'd you land in the Wicker?
This race, the Wicker, comes up tough every year for the amount of money. The purse is $100,000. It always draws a full field. You've got the horses trying to get back into the graded stakes in this restricted type of race. So they come from all sides. I mean, Beyond Brilliant is a grade 1 winner, but he hasn't run in 30 months. That's a long time. So I don't care if he's training well, or he's got to have to prove to me that he's where he was when he left. I have a slight lean toward number 7, Brandon here. He comes off a little bit of a troubled trip behind Motorius coming down the hill at Santa Anita. Last time he was at Del Mar a mile, he won. He has 2 sprints going to a route now. I like that pattern. He'll fall into a stocking trip. There's speed in here. You have Final Boss number 4 has got to go, and Beyond Brilliant usually has speed. Air Force Red, when he routes, is usually on the lead. So at the very least, the pace is going to be honest in here, and I think maybe Brand trips out, and that's the top horse for me. Don't go to sleep on number 11, Endlessly. You mentioned him, Louie. This is a horse that got off track. He was a really good grass horse as a young horse. They tried to get him into the Derby. They did by going to the Tapeta at Turfway Park. He's not a dirt horse. He really isn't that as good on Tapeta either. He's a grass horse, and it's taken a little while. The 2 races off the layoff have both been won in wire-to-wire fashion. He didn't have the right scenario for his style. He gets a pace today. He adds blinkers, and he's over a course that he's already a stakes winner. He won the Del Mar Juvenile Turf over this course. It's very possible. I don't like post 11, but I could see him waking up in this spot for sure. If he's a big number, and again, you depend on Hector Barrios to work out a trip from a bad post. He's done it before. So I think this is a horse that's going to prove. Then you have horses like Almendarez and Astronomer. They like this course, but they just don't win. So if you're a trifecta and super player, use the 9 and 10 in the 3rd and 4th spots, but I would try and beat them to win. So Brand, a slight lean to me in a wide open race.
I landed on Brand as well. This feels like the kind of spot that Endlessly gets back to winning, right? It just kind of does, where this kind of level, Josh. But I saw you nod at least a little bit about Brand there.
Yeah, I looked at Brand. He's probably my 4th choice in this race. I'd like a couple others. I completely agree on Beyond Brilliant. This
Tough spot.
I mean, unless the trainer's name is Chad Brown, I am not going to try and bet any horse that's coming from nearly 1,000 days off coming back. You know, Chad's got some insane strike rate with being able to just make a horse disappear for 2.5 years and come back and win. You know, John Sheriff's to me is always someone who brings his horses along very slowly. So even if he's bringing his horse back, I imagine he's going to need this run no matter what. So I'm not going to have Beyond Brilliant on any of my tickets. I'm gonna go with a couple of horses that I think John had already mentioned. Almendarez is the horse I probably like the most in this spot. Speed figure wise, he fits. And you know, he does have a win on this trip, the mile at Del Mar. But yeah, hasn't won in a while, and I think that's kind of baked into his price a little bit. You're gonna get 6-1. You get Phil D'Amato and Frezu here, and you know they win a ton of races. So I like to see Almendarez here. The 8 Air Force Red, I thought was interesting in this spot because you know when he's been able to not just sit out front and get an absolute blazing pace like he did last year in I forget what it might have been this race actually, where he just went out and you know just basically was suicidal on that pace. You know, when he's a little bit more relaxed and he's forwardly placed, I think he's just a different horse. Obviously, you know, I still think that the horses that get 6.5 at Santa Anita can usually get a mile. So I kind of like him as kind of sitting that stalking trip here. But once again, this is one that hasn't won going a mile in a bit. So, you know, you're getting 8-1 on that one. And then the 10 Astronomer, I think is, you know, I think he was a little snake bitten there in the Seabiscuit last year. And I think that race would basically beat anybody's best except for Beyond Brilliant from like 2022. So I think he's in here with a really big shot. And you know, Kimura I think is another jock who rides the turf here very, very well. So yeah, it's always tough with these conditions, right? You get horses, you're looking at horses that haven't won a stakes race in a year, and all of a sudden you're just like, you see these horses that keep running in second or winning in allowance races. So I think it's pretty tough, but yeah, I like the 8, 9, and 10 in this one.
Like John said, this one's always salty, man. Putting this race together just always seems to shape up like this. John, do you think there's a universe in which if Beyond Brilliant, had won the Seabiscuit handicap, he would have just gone off to stud, and this actually wouldn't even have been an option?
Yeah, I don't know what the story is there, and I know John Sheriff, so I'm going to ask him, hey, what'd you do, lose him in the field? What happened here?
Yeah, or like if he hits the board of the Breeders' Cup and then wins the Seabiscuit, like is he gone then? You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I don't know if there was just maybe he's infertile, maybe, you know, or maybe just it could be no interest in no interest from breeders. So there are a million reasons why it didn't happen, but you know, again, the fact that he's back, he must have been okay to put in training, but that's a long wait, and that's a lot of bills to get here.
It sure is. We move on to the late pick 4, another maiden special for 2-year-olds. We're going 5 furlongs on the dirt there. This is for Calbred or sired in race 8 here. As I said, starts the late pick 4 here. A couple of second timers, frankly, that have started at Santa Anita in this one as well. Josh, we'll go to you here first. Did you land on a horse with some experience or a first timer here?
I kind of landed on a horse with some experience. I think the 3 Max Chow here for Steve Knapp and Tiago Pereira. You know, I always like to see these young horses that have passed some horses. So I think the 3, you know, kind of had a start. You know, was able to get out in the start, kind of got steadied a little bit, and you know, was able to kind of finish a little bit. And you know, speed figure seems to kind of match up with what some of these other horses have run. So if we look for a step forward there, I think he's in there with a shot. I like all 3 of the inside horses. I think the 2 No Joke Antares is another one. You know, young horse that's passed other horses, has been working pretty consistently here. And yeah, you know, I think a lot of times with these, you know, 2-year-old, 3-year-old early races, one of the hardest things to teach a horse is to be able to pass another one. So I just always move up horses that kind of have that experience. And then when I'm thinking about speed, I think the one Thirsty Rebel is, I mean, looking at the work pattern, this looks like a horse that's going to want to get out of the gate and get out of the gate fast. So I think this might be your speed in this race, because there really isn't a ton of speed in this race here. Maybe the 10 Moonshiner, but now you're coming from all the way to the outside post to try and cross over. I think Thirsty Rebel is going to have an easier chance trying to maybe get into the lead there. So I like the 1, 2, and 3 in this spot.
How about that? John, that's also my password if you ever need something. You mentioned the rail earlier at Del Mar. Would it affect a horse like Thirsty Rebel here coming out of the one? Because I agree with Josh. If you look at the works, especially from the gate, this is one that's popping out ready to go. Would be one you would probably want to use if the rail's live.
Well, at 5 furlongs, they go into that turn pretty quick, and it's not as important at 5 furlongs as it would be at 6 or 6.5. And I've seen the videos on this. He's quick. Thirsty Rebel will leave the gate running. He's got speed, and he'll fight you too. So I think he's the right horse in here. I just think No Joke and Terrace we saw last time in his debut didn't have a whole lot of speed. So there's going to be some room for Thirsty Rebel to work as long as he breaks clean. I think he's going to get to the lead. He's going to hit the turn first, and that's always a good thing with 2-year-olds. I do think No Joke and Terrace is going to get bet. I don't think 6-1 is right. I think he'll probably be more like 4 or 7-2. He finished up well last time. He's going to be on a lot of horses to watch lists that are coming up here. But that lack of speed, it always worries me in these 2-year-old races. So I like Thirsty Rebel to win it. No Joke and Terrace, I think we'll be in the mix, especially late. If they start coming back, look for the chestnut to come running. And that outside horse, Moonshiner, that Josh mentioned, he was a little bit unlucky last time. He did all the dirty work, put all the speed away, and got nailed right on the money. Now, there were 2 races for 2-year-olds that day. He comes out of the much slower division. This race was almost, 2.5, 2 seconds slower than the other division. So I don't know how strong a race it was, but he ran well. So he's outside. He's got speed. He should be able to clear over and get a trip. But I think they have to catch number 1, Thirsty Rebel.
I agree. I went 1, 3, and 4 here. I think Forever Ben is really interesting out of the Carla Gaines barn, second-time runner. She's having a sneaky good start to the year, too, actually, first half of the year. Juan Hernandez gets the mount here. We make the switch from Tyler Bays to him. I love that upgrade, and so I think that one's an absolute must-watch in this spot as well. A busy start to the late pick 4 there. Remember, they have moved those later wagers to Del Mar's wagering menu as well. So the late pick 3 is a $3 minimum with a 15% takeout. It is a fun bet. If you are a pick 3 player, man, save a little bit of money for the end of the day, or heck, just follow our bets and you'll be fine. Play these plays and you'll have plenty of money for the pick 3. But that does start in this race here, and it is the Grade 2 San Clemente handicap. $200,000 on the line. This is fillies who are 3 years old in this one, and obviously, if it's a handicap for 3-year-olds, that's based on success. So oftentimes in these races, I look for the horse carrying the most weight, John Lindo. Guess what? That's the favorite here. That's thought process, and that's Phil D'Amato, and that's Hector Berrios. Very, very impressive in an allowance last out. Oh, yeah, and by the way, last year as a 2-year-old, their only loss was to Lake Victoria Nitrogen in the Breeders' Cup. And so I think a very worthy favorite here and a very unsurprising winner if she crosses first.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of speed in this race, Louie. You've got number 7, Jungle Peace, who's got one way to go. The far outside, number 9, Silent Law for Bob Baffert. She's going to have to lead from the outside gate. Now, we saw Thought Process go wire to wire last time, but she also set off the pace in her races at Del Mar last summer. I don't think she's speed crazy. She was just so much better than those fillies last time. They just put her on the lead and toured around. It looked like a workout. She's really good. And I think she's coming into this race super. I don't think she's going to be on the lead this time. I think Hector Berrios can just kind of get her off the bit a little bit, let those outside horses clear, sit in stock. And I just think she's the best filly in here. She's a single to me in that late pick 4 and late pick 5. Oh, wow. If she does get caught up in the speed duel up front, keep an eye on number 1, Will Then. This is a filly that I don't think she liked the Churchill Downs turf last time. Her California races have been very good. She's already won a stakes race on the Del Mar turf. And she's the one filly that can sit back, let everybody do all the damage, and try and pick up the pieces. First ride for Mike Smith for this horse. So, I would just tell him, sit to the quarter pole, angle out, and see what you got.
I saw Josh's reaction, and I'm trying to figure out which speed he's all excited about. Is it Jungle and Peace? Are you excited about that horse, Josh?
No, I actually don't like any of the speeds in this race. You know,
Okay. All right,
I do think, you know, that's the big reason I'm kind of against thought process in here. Now, you know, like John said, last year was able to sit, you know, just off the pace, but that was also a kind of a moderate pace, and it does look like we're going to get probably a fast pace in this race. I love the one Will then. You know, Mike Smith is he's a funny guy when you know you look at horse racing circles. You know, a lot of people think, okay, he can ride the Baffert horses on the speed, right? He can ride the speed horses, but I think he's sneaky good on the turf, especially when it's a tracking type one run closer, or I mean, heck, even a speed type. He gave, was it Cabo Spirit a couple of months back? He gave a masterful ride on that one to win, to upset a nice stakes race. But you know, and Mike Smith's at the point in his career where if he doesn't think he's got a shot, he doesn't have to get up. So the fact that he lands here, I don't know if you can name more than 10 horses that actually do like the Churchill Downs turf course. So, you know, the fact that he didn't run all that well in the Churchill Downs course, you know, doesn't really bother me. You look at his, you know, the 3 races before that, this is a horse that had improved every single time going out there. I really, really like Will then. And then I also like the horse just to his outside, Castelou here, the other Baffert horse. And this is one, you know, was sprinting and showed some speed, but this is another one, you know, Kimura rode this horse 2 back, and, you know, that speed was kind of fast, and Kimura sat just off of it and made that one run and was able to win in what was the career best for this horse. Off a bit of a layoff here. But Bob, you know, Bob knows how to get a horse ready off a layoff, and you know, it seems like more and more we're starting to see him, you know, pop up in these turf races, which I'm sure is starting to annoy some people in Southern California. But yeah, you know, I think that this is a horse that's in here with a bit of a shot. You know, you're getting 6-1, and I think, you know, with the fact that he's got this other horse, the 9, in here, you know, maybe he's trying to get a little bit more speed into this race for his 2. The 2 other horses I kind of like as long shots. The 3, Miso Fancy, I thought was interesting. Speed figure wise needs to improve, but you know, you look at the last 2 races, when this horse has got pace in front of it, this horse can close. So I thought Miso Fancy was interesting in here. And then the 8, Firenze Flavor, same kind of thing. This is a horse that when is able to kind of get some of that, you know, that speed in front of it, can sit just off and win. You know, won the Honeymoon last time out. Drayden stays aboard here, knows the horse, and you know, he knows that he's going to keep this horse outside and keep this horse out of the you know, the traffic in the middle there, and make that one run. And yeah, I think with just the amount of pace signed on here, I think horses like the 3 and the 8 are very, very interesting at big prices. But I think the 1 and the 2 are probably going to be my top picks in here.
Move into the late double. Of course, if you're going to be betting, check out our friends at Amwager, amwager.com. They've got the 100% deposit match up to $150 right now for you, live in California as well. Go check them out. And you can play the late double, $5 minimum on this one. Again, a very friendly 15% takeout on this. Love a good $5 double. John, not going to lie, I missed when it closed with a $4,000 claimer Golden Gate Fields. We will move on to that. But race 10, excuse me, is back on the dirt here. It is an optional claimer. $81,000 in the purse. We're going a mile. Tis Secure lands on the inside, Josh, at 5-2 for Bob Baffert. And this is the lightest raced of these horses, but seems to be the class.
Yeah, you know, I didn't really know what to do with the one. You know, ran in the slop, ran kind of evenly in that race. That goal oriented ended up winning, and then it looks like they've gelded the horse since then. So, you know, are we going to see a little bit of improvement off that? Speed figure wise, I think at least on time form, he's going to need a little bit of help. I do think he can win this race. I'm not thrilled about the price. I think there's 2 horses, at least on the morning line, that are a little bit longer, that are more interesting. I think the 8, Indispensable, you know, I think he was running in some really, really nice races to end the year last year, came off the layoff here, and, you know, didn't do much running, but, first start in 2025, off of 6-7 month layoff there. Kind of across the line through that. If this horse can get back to any of the races it was running at the end of his 3-year-old season, I think he's going to be very tough to beat in here. And then the only other horse I liked was the 10 horse, Brazenly. And this is another horse that, I think is going to want some kind of pace in front of him to kind of close into. And it does look like you got a couple of speed horses in the 2, the 6, and the 9 signed up here. So, if we start seeing, the outside kind of being good, or we start seeing that maybe speed, tracks playing really fair, depending on who you ask on Twitter, depends on what the tide is like at Del Mar. But I think the 10 Brazenly can maybe a surprise at 8-1 if we get a little bit of a pace meltdown up front.
I actually happen to like Lyell's song just to his inside. I actually think that's an interesting entry here. John, where did you land?
I'm on Lyell's song too. This is a horse that coming off the layoff last time, he missed the break. He rushed up, got caught between horses. He never got a breather, and he got tired, and that's understandable. He had won his first 2 starts like a nice horse, and has come back to train well out of that. He's another one who's been gelded, so he's a first-time gelding. He's got enough speed to put himself in the race, but he doesn't have to be on the lead. And I think with the flat mile at Del Mar, the speed horses go hard in that first turn, the low position. I would expect number 2, Varney, to go. The 3, Concord Bridge. Josh mentioned Tranch. There's going to be some speed in here. I think Lyell's song, as long as he breaks, he might have laying 3rd, 4th, 5th on the outside stalking, and I think that's the right trip here. And, he was bet last time. He's going to be an overlay on Saturday. This is the time to try him. He's got a race under his belt, and you're going to have value at the windows. So he's the play to me. I'm not sure the one horse To Secure wants 2 turns. He's kind of flattened out in both the route races. He's been gelded, and even in the workouts, he kind of waits on horses a little bit. I don't know if they figured out really what he wants to do yet. So until they do, I'm going to stay away. I think of the 2 Bob Baffert horses, maybe Varney might be a little bit more live. He didn't want the mile on an 8th in the Los Alamitos Derby. Again, he's facing older horses here, but the flat mile is going to be better for him. And I think if Kazushi Kimura really sends Varney, he's going to hit the first turn in front. And you put a Bob Baffert horse in the lead, now you got to go get him, and that's not easy to do.
Not easy to do at Del Mar. We'll move on to the final race here. But again, thanks to the 2 guys next to me, I'm pointing the wrong way. That's the way I want to point. His name is John Lindo. He's with Thoroughbred LA. John, how do people listen?
Out here in LA, it's 8:30 a.m., but it's thoroughbredla.com on the internet. You can catch us, and the shows are archived there. And again, 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific Saturdays, 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific Sundays.
Easily amongst the Mount Rushmore of horse racing radio in this country. Really appreciate John jumping on today. Josh, where do people find you?
Yep. OnTheWrongLead.com or On the Wrong Lead on YouTube. You can find us on, any of your podcast apps. We do shows covering, stakes races on the weekends, live streams. We do Hong Kong, a lot of actually Hong Kong racing we cover here. And we're going to start doing, I think, a show on the late pick 3 at Del Mar Sunday night. Get that old get out late pick 3 for everybody who's trying to end up a little money in their pocket there for the last kind of big racing for the weekend. So
there you go, that $3 minimum. There is a 50-cent super high 5 in the closing race at Del Mar on Saturday. It is a 1 mile on the turf optional claimer here. $81,000 in the purse here. This is for fillies and mares, essentially, that have never won above the $21,000 level here. Wide open if John, if the morning line maker is right here. Who'd you land on?
Well, you look at this race, and first of all, number 8, Cameron Slaw, has been entered back against the boys on Sunday by Neil Dreisel, so she won't run. So you can scratch the 8 horse out of here. That gets number 13, Laudatory, into the race. But looking at the field, there's no speed. And I think number 11, Rosalie May, is the one that benefits from this. She found 9 furlongs just a few steps too far last time, got run down in the shadow of the wire. She cuts back to a mile. One end is can either put her on the lead or they can track. Either one, she's going to get first jump on the other horses here. And I think, I think she's a fair price. I think it's 7-2 or 3-1. Anywhere around there is just about right. So Rosalie May, for me, the scratch that gets Laudatory into the race helps her. She ran super coming off the layoff last time. Ran second, got beat a neck against the same kind of horses. She had a fast pace to set her up that time. She's not going to get the same pace today, but she's getting better with every start. And for me, the horse to try and beat maybe number 7, Quick Brown Fox. She's been bet every time, and she's kind of been disappointing. She ran okay down the hill last time. She should like 2 turns on grass. I just don't trust her. And so I think she'll be too low a price for me to really take the shot. I think Rosalie May gets everything her way in the last race.
Some of you need lives, but our guy Steve wants to know. Josh, you're a bourbon guy. What's in the Glencairn tonight?
I have Blanton's tonight. So
all right.
Yeah.
No
so
big
last
deal.
time I was in Louisville, that was the bourbon of the day at Buffalo Trace. So it was with my wife, and so we brought back 2 bottles, and then we got lucky at Michter's. We got to do the bottle your own barrel strength Michter's bottle, which was really nice. So just getting warmed up for our stream that's going to kick off here in a couple minutes. So got the bourbon going.
All right, give us your quick pick then, bud. I know you got to go.
Yeah, I think I saw this race very similar to John. I think the 7 or 11 are probably your likely pace setters in here. Probably your 11's a little bit more likely because you just see more consistent speed from that horse. But with the 7 being drawn a little bit inside of that horse, has shown some speed on dirt, and has been at least kind of forward on these turf sprints. So maybe you see a little bit of speed out of the 7. So that's kind of where I landed. I think the 4, She's a Joker, is another one that might benefit from the fact that we got kind of a slow pace. And, I'm going to a race at Santa Anita, probably about 6 back, where there was a bit of a slow pace. And, then Juan Hernandez was riding this horse, got the horse involved early and was able to win by a length and a half in that race, by kind of just keep getting this horse involved a little early. So I think if Vinny Chevano can get this horse, kind of going and involved in the race early, I think that this horse has got a chance to surprise at 5-1. And then the only other horse I took a look at was the number 2, Fondest Dream. This is a horse that was brought over from overseas off a win, goes a mile there, and everything kind of went wrong there a little bit. Didn't really run all that well. But coming off that long layoff, I see Richard Baltas in a turf race at 15-1. You get Tiago Pereira aboard, who is no stranger to just blowing up the tote board at any random time. I think that this is a horse that if he's able to kind of improve and get in Lasix for the first time here as well, which he was running the stakes last time. I think you got a lot of things going here that at least make me want to take a closer look at this one. If we see maybe that closer to 15 point improvement coming across here first time as a 3-year-old getting Lasix for the first time, I think that he fits right in here. The only kind of concern is last time he was coming from way out of it. There's not really going to be any speed here, so I think this is a horse that Tiago's going to have to get going kind of early. But I think at 15-1, he's at least worth a flyer.
Well, there you go. Well, Josh, John, really appreciate both of you jumping on tonight. Really, frankly, a really great audience as well. Appreciate everybody hanging out with the show. Josh has got to run and do a better podcast than this one, so go have fun. Get out of here. All right, it's gonna be good stuff. And then, John, I'm so frankly, and I mean this because I don't have racing in my town right now. I'm very jealous that you get to go right down the street and just have Del Mar right now. But I'm also really happy because I know that it is a special spot for you for sure.
It's terrific. I really enjoy going there. And, we had that 6-month run in Santa Anita, and it gets a little tedious at the end. We had a little break going to Los Alamitos. So this is it's kind of refreshing, and it kind of jumpstarts all the horsemen, too. They're happy to get someplace different. You get out of here, the weather's good. It's going to be in the mid-70s tomorrow, clear as a bell. So, they just order it up, and you get that screenshot. If you're watching the satellite feed, they show the shot from the end of the grandstand over the beach, and you look at that and say, well, that might be a good place to go to the races. Right. Trust me, it is.
It really is. Haskell, can anybody be journalism?
I don't think so. He and Sovereignty have been the best 2-3-year-olds so far this year. I don't see it changing. Keep an eye on the Bob Bavard horse, goal oriented. He is training like a beast. Okay. And don't be surprised if they put him on the lead from the outside post. He's the X card. He's got some improvement in him.
Interesting. All right. Well, John, thanks so much. We'll catch you on Thoroughbred LA. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. There we go. Well, he is John Lindo. Join us here on SoCal Saturdays, presented by Amwager, amwager.com. Go check them out. Again, the 100% deposit match up to $150 going right now. Get in with them. Welcome into my glorious hotel set up here in New Jersey ahead of the Haskell. By the way, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, right where you're watching. You can watch us preview full Haskell Day. My colleague Sean Collins alongside. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We actually had about 2,200 of you tonight hanging out with the program across all of the different platforms. We'll catch you next week on SoCal Saturday.